Happy Thanksgiving if you happen to be tuning in on Thanksgiving. Hey, honey, why don't you go find your spot? She will eventually. Happy any day of the year if you're tuning in on another day. This is going to be a real gentle flow. Dim the lights. If you like essential oil, get that going. Light a candle. Do whatever you can to create like a little cocoon for yourself that feels nourishing and nurturing. We're both having a little frog in our throat. And then meet me on your mat on your back. If lying on your back is not comfortable for you, you can absolutely lie on your belly instead. I recommend starting the supine just to get the abdominals some space. So when you're ready, when you've got your mood lighting and anything else that you need, lie down onto your back. Draw your knees to your chest with your palms. And then just make a couple really small, slower circles through the sacrum, just massaging the sides of the lower back, the back of the hips. It feels good to let the eyes close down and to kind of just follow along with the words, just follow along with my voice instead of trying to look at the screen a bunch. Do that. Once you've worked out anything that you need in the lower back or the hips, lower the feet down nice and slow. Just feel into the connection between your feet and your mat and the earth. And then we'll let the knees fall open to the sides, coming into Supta Baddha Konasana as you bring the soles of the feet together. And let the heels be as far from the groin as is comfortable, so there's no need to try and create anything really intense in the body. In fact, we're going for the opposite in this class, in this practice, finding just that really soft stretch. Take a few deep breaths here. You can bring the palm to your belly. That feels good. You may even give your tummy a really gentle little rub here. And then see if you can use your breath. So invite the breath down, all the way down into your core. Again, it's not a forced, really intense, effortful breath, but just gently letting the belly expand like a balloon. And then as you exhale, very gently pressing the air out, drawing the belly up and in. Take a few deep breaths like that, really breathing down into the bottom of the lungs, letting the belly expand and the chest lift, holding just for a moment at the top gently. And then long exhale, maybe pursing your lips, pressing the air out like you're cooling off a cup of hot tea. Once more, deep breath all the way down into the low belly, filling up about 80% of your max capacity there. Let the chest expand and lift, hold just for a moment. And then purse your lips as you slowly exhale, draw the belly up and in. Nice, this time give the arms a stretch back over your head. And then bring the knees toward the chest. Actually, just bring the right knee toward the chest to start. So you can draw the hands around the right shin. If it feels good to bring some movement into the right ankle or the right foot. Start to let the left leg stretch out if that's comfortable. If that feels like too much pressure in the left hip, you can keep the foot down. And you're just gently going to bring the right thigh closer toward the chest. See if you can avoid your rib cage by moving the right thigh, the right knee out toward the right a little bit. And then just ease into that stretch. And keep breathing down into the low belly so you're getting this little massage for the ascending colon over here, right? So we're working into the intestines, bringing some blood flow to that area. Same time as we're stretching out gently through the lower back, through the right kidney and adrenal gland. A really important part of our endocrine system and our blood filtration system, regulating our hormones. And then just switch legs gently. Left knee in, right foot down. Real incremental movement into the stretch. If it feels good to start to straighten the right leg long on the mat in front of you. Great. If that doesn't feel so good, keep the foot down. Let the eyes be closed or soft here. So if it makes more sense to keep the eyes open, just pick a point maybe on the ceiling to rest your gaze really gently on. And then remember, you're guiding the left knee and left thigh out away from the ribs. You can get that really gentle massage for the other side of your colon here, the other kidney, the other adrenal gland. And then we're going to do both knees. So both knees into the chest. Maybe reaching, interlacing your fingers. Maybe rocking a little bit side to side. Three deep breaths. Soft gaze or eyes closed. You can relax through the jaw, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. Right? It's the very first part of the digestive system. It's actually the mouth. When you're ready, you're going to rock your way up to a seat. Any way that you can sit comfortably. I'm going to sit in Sukhasana, crossing the ankles. Actually, I'm just going to leave my left ankle in front of my right ankle. Sit however you need. We're going to do a couple like isolation movements for the ribs. You can bring your hands to your lap and then just press the rib cage to the right. It's not a big movement to start. Just feel if you can feel the ribs pulling to the right over your hips. And then push the ribs to the left. Stay with me, I promise we're going somewhere with this. If you haven't done isolation movements before in the upper body, you come back through the center. You're gonna press the ribs forward, keep the hips down. So it's a little bit like cow in the lower back here, right? So a little bit of extension in the lower back. And then pull the ribs back, draw the navel in a bit. So a little bit like cat, right? Getting that flexion through the lower back. And then we're gonna do that again. Right, left, forward, and back. Go ahead and start to make this a little bit more organic. So right, front, left, back. Just making some really slow kind of circular motions. You can close your eyes down. Keep breathing. So good. This kind of movement will keep going in the same direction for quite a while, and I'll have you reverse in a moment here. If you find anything real interesting, you might stay for a second or slow it down. You're moving the spine here through 4 of its ranges of movement, right? So we've got lateral flexion, forward flexion, and that bit of extension. And kind of churning up anything in the belly. All right, and then you're going to reverse the direction here. Just breathing. Try not to overthink it. You can't be doing this wrong, right? There is not a wrong way. Keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the base relaxed. Feel into any tissues in your midsection that feel a little tender with this movement. Perhaps the low back has a little something going on, maybe the hips, the sides. A couple more deep breaths with the movement. And then keeping the eyes closed if you can, come through the center, lift the crown of the head, tall through the spine, really gentle, but lifting through the crown of the head. Just breathe. Same belly breaths here. So this whole practice will be practicing breathing down into the belly. A lot of the time throughout the day, we're breathing more in the upper chest, not taking those really rich, deep breaths all the way down into the core. Can be an especially centering and grounding practice to try that out. So deep breath, lots of awareness and presence into the body, all the way down into the belly. And then long exhales, feeling maybe even more centered and connected to the core. When you're ready, you can blink the eyes open. We're going to take a twist to the right. Stretch the arms up over your head. And then left hand, right knee, right fingertips back behind you. Still sitting tall through the spine here as you find a little bit of rotation. Just feeling a gentle spiral of energy from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of the head. Notice if there's a desire to kind of force and crank and twist, see if you can ease into it. Let the twist just happen from the inside out. If it feels okay, looking back over the right shoulder, finding that rotation in the neck. And then bring the chin forward, releasing the rotation from the neck. Everything comes forward, reach the arms up. Twist to the left on your exhale. Option to close the eyes down here. Connect a little bit more deeply to the inside of your body, to the twist moving up the spine. And perhaps feeling how the belly center is rotating a bit, the ribs are rotating, shoulders. Maybe the chin is back over the left shoulder. One more long breath in. Keep the twist, just bring the head through neutral, releasing the neck, and then everything comes to the center. Inhale the arms up over your head. Bring your right fingertips outside of the right hip. Take a side stretch. Same deep breaths here. See if you can use your breath almost like an accordion to open up through the left side of your waist and the left side of your ribs. Reach the crown of the head away from the sternum. Really nice option here is to bend the elbows, kind of like a cactus shape with the arms so that the shoulders are soft down onto the back behind the heart space. One more deep breath in, maybe stretch a little further if it feels good, and then come to the center on your exhale. Inhale the right arm up and then over to the left, adjusting the left hand however you need. Nod the chin from one shoulder to the other gently. So just checking in with the neck here always. And then find a spot for the head to stay in a static connection with the spine for a moment, just so you can feel from the tailbone all the way up to the back of the neck, that lateral flexion, the side bend. One more deep breath, maybe stretching through the right fingers a little bit more, and then come through the center. All right, go ahead and extend the legs out in front of you here. Maybe shake the legs out a little bit and paddle out your calves. It's really peaceful in my home today. I'm hoping it stays like that. Inhale the arms up over your head and stretch. And then this is not going to be your deepest forward fold ever. Actually, go ahead and bend the knees before we even do anything here. And then rest the chest and the belly on the thighs. So again, not the deepest forward fold here ever. You're just folding into yourself, making this like a really supportive and kind of tender shape. You can relax your arms underneath your knees here. Let the head drop between the knees. Just breathing, relaxing the eyes, the temples. And then bring your awareness into your spine from the sides of your sacrum all the way up, the muscles supporting your lumbar spine, the muscles in the middle of your back, between your shoulder blades, and in the back of your neck. And see if you can breathe in a way that helps stretch out through the sides of your ribs and the back of your ribs. So again, just finding that gentle stretch through the space where the kidneys and the adrenals are. Really important again for how our body processes stress. And even if we have a lot of stress going on externally, it's really key to manage how that stress is settling in our body, right? So constantly kind of helping and supporting your body to come back to some sort of nervous system equilibrium. Forward folds are really, really amazing for that. And give your chin a very gentle nod from shoulder to shoulder. And then nod your chin all the way into your chest. And just a gentle nod yes here. Yes to whatever's going on in your body, your mind, whatever thoughts have been heavy on your shoulders lately. Just a friendly nod, acknowledging it all. Good, and then bring your fingertips down by your sides. You're going to use your hands, press the mat away to lift up. Go slow. Nice work. Bring the soles of the feet together here. You can shift the hips back a little bit, finding the space between your groin and your heels that feels comfortable in your body. And bring your hands to your ankles. We're just going to massage through the ankles, the bottom of the calves, the heels, a little bit. In traditional Chinese medicine, which I do not know nearly enough about, I do know that there are some pressure points through the ankles that are really good at bringing energy down. So especially when we're working with anything going on in the tummy, if we're trying to help move along some of the digestive processes, working into some of those pressure points can be just a nice way to support your body. Maybe if it feels good, just naturally letting your hands go where they want to go in the calves, or perhaps in the feet here. Maybe it makes more sense for you just to stay still and breathe. Again, there's not a wrong way to practice one of these kind of embodiment practices like yoga. If you haven't found some stillness here, go ahead and start to find that for yourself, either interlacing your fingers around your toes or keeping your thumbs in at the instep of your foot and then kind of pulling the feet open, so rotating through the ankle. Some people's feet that feels real good, mine it doesn't. And then so much of this practice is knowing when to breathe through what doesn't feel so good, what's just your body being a body, and when to honor, right? Like that little intuitive pushback before it becomes a loud pushback, right? Like an injury. And learning from the times maybe when we missed the quiet pushback and had to learn the harder way, right? Experience is such a great teacher. Nice, bring the knees toward one another. Bring your hands back behind you, quite a way back. And walk the feet about hips distance apart. Real slow windshield wipers with your knees here. If it feels good to move a little faster, great. If it feels good to stay on one side for a breath or two, awesome. Again, can't do it wrong. Nice, and then you're gonna go ahead and walk the hands forward a little bit more. Roll all the way to the left hip. So I'll turn to the side here. The sole of your left foot is gonna be close to the top of the right knee. Bring your left hand to your left hip, or actually bring your left hand out past your left hip. right hand to your right hip. And then you're gonna rotate, lifting the right hip up, twisting gently to the left. Try and keep the crown of the head lifted, the heart lifted. It's a really gentle hip opener here. And then come back through the center, lowering your left hip as you square your chest forward, or your right hip rather. Oh boy, right and left today. Inhale, lift the right hip, rotate to the left. Exhale, lower the right hip and square the chest forward. Keep moving like that with your breath, inhaling up and exhaling back. Keeping a lot of awareness in your pelvis, but not neglecting the rest of your spine, right? So still sitting tall, still lifted through the sternum and the crown of the head. Couple more. Deepen the breath a little bit, maybe even all the way into Ujjayi. And then the next time you lower the right hip, move the right hand to the right ankle, reach the left arm up and over. Maybe right hand, right foot might be better. Taking a side stretch here, nod the chin from shoulder to shoulder, looking right, looking left. Awesome, stretch a little bit more, and then you're gonna take it all the way to your hands and your knees. You might have to adjust so that you're facing the screen, but again, maybe you can just follow along with my voice. Wag the hips out a bit, so knees maybe a little bit wider than hips distance apart. And then very gentle cat-cow, so you can bring the knees a little closer together if that feels more steady and stable for you. Arching the back, lifting the chin, and then rounding the back, looking down. Breathe, find some extension coming into cow, opening up the chest and the collarbones gently. And then exhaling as you drop into cat, lift the ribs. Keep moving here. Maybe move a little bit slower than you usually do. And then notice if the movement is coming from the low back, if the movement is starting from the neck. See if you can start to move from the middle of your back here. So instead of letting the tailbone or the head guide the movement, use the very center of your back, moving right beneath or right between the shoulder blades to initiate the waves in the spine, especially if you have low back pain. Now it might mean that your cat-cows don't have quite as much of a range of motion at the edges, at the tailbone and the crown of the head, but they're gonna feel a lot more integrated through the ribs, the solar plexus, and maybe the heart center, right? So getting into those chakras like Manipura chakra, which is everything to do with digestion, right? Our belly center. And Anahata, the heart center, everything to do with relationship, connection, love. Few more here. Beautiful, and then take it back into a narrow knee child's pose. So bring the knees together, and it's okay, the idea is that the belly rests on the thighs. In child's pose, you can keep the fingertips stretching forward if that feels nice. I really like the variation with the knees together where you bring your hands toward your feet, maybe even rest the fingertips next to the toes, drop the forehead down, eyes closed down, and then let the shoulders and the whole of your body feel really, really heavy here. See if you can keep helping that sense of heaviness along. Just about 3 more deep breaths. Let gravity bring your body a little bit deeper in toward the mat and the earth that's supporting you. When you're ready, you're going to bring your hands up, lift the chest up. So you're on your knees here. Shift the weight just a bit to the left hip. Is that right? No, that's wrong. To the right hip. Gosh, right hip. So we'll come back into this kind of moving hip opener. Left knee and sole of the right foot are lined up. You're gonna bring your right hand outside of your right hip. Left hand to the left hip. I am gonna try and get the right and the left right now. First, lift the left hip, rotate to the right as you breathe in, and then lower the hip back down, bring your chest forward as you exhale. You know what to do. Move with your breath here. I feel like I am always just offering myself up as an example of imperfection, and maybe that's a huge part of what I'm here for. Try and keep all of the length in the spine here without straining, so that's the key. Maybe Ujjayi breath is helping you along so you can feel in to that kind of flow-like movement here. About 3 more. If it feels good, to start to explore a little bit more range of motion, twist a little bit deeper, maybe come up onto the left toes, and sink back a little bit more, maybe lift the right knee. Last one. Once you finish that up, bring your left hand to your left foot somewhere. Get a good little hold. It gets a little hand hold, and then right arm comes up and over for your big side bend. Look over the left shoulder, look over the right shoulder. You can keep the head moving if that feels good, or find a spot. Maybe just let the left ear dangle down. Huge breath in. Hands and knees, working your way. Couple more little cat-cows, but see if you can make it really freestyle. So maybe it feels good to move the hips back and forth, find a little bit of lateral movement through the head and the neck. Maybe pressing back toward child's pose and pulling forward into something a little bit more like upward facing dog. Just about 10 seconds to move around in any way that feels good. For me, it feels good to lift my knees and tuck the toes and press back through one foot at a time. And from here, make your way back onto your back. So this is a pretty quick little practice, but super, super good to calm everything down, right? Bring the soles of the feet together back into Supta Baddha Konasana, or come into, I call it teepee pose. Bringing the feet toward the edges of your mat, the knees up, and then just let the knees drop in toward one another. Maybe angle the toes in just a little bit. Connect to your breath, connect to your body. If it feels good to bring a hand to your belly or hand to your heart. So in order to support really healthy digestion, our nervous system has got to calm down. And that's maybe harder than ever. If you're watching this in real time, it's 2020. And in order to really support healthy digestion, we have to be in the side of the nervous system that's called the parasympathetic. And we also have to be in like a very specific part of that system where we're able to rest enough that our body can shift its resources out of like a survival mode, out of fight, flight, freeze, anxiety, stress space into a space where we're repairing, digesting, and where the energy comes more into our center. And see if you can just invite it there. A few things you can do are closing your eyes down. It's a nice way to communicate to your body that it's okay, that you're safe, that you don't have to maintain this hypervigilance, like scanning for potential threats or dangers, letting the eyes close down. Inviting the breath to become a little bit longer and fuller. And perhaps replicating a breathing pattern that you might find if you were sleeping, and practicing next to my dog who's asleep, and I can hear her breath is real nice and long right now. And then also just allowing the body to become still. Not in a freeze tag kind of way, but just in a settling, right? So like a lake after the wind calms. Letting the waters become really still. We'll be here for a handful of breaths. If your body wants to work its way into Shavasana, relaxing your legs, if it feels better to take a spinal twist, and try that out, dropping the knees from one side for a few breaths, and to the other. If you've got time to stay in Shavasana for a little bit longer, please go ahead and stop the tape or tune me out. If you're back at it today, maybe you're watching this on Thanksgiving Day, bring some movement back into your body, whatever way you need, deeper breaths. And then you've got all the time in the world, even if you don't feel like that's the case, move real slow to work your way back to a seat. When you get there, last thing that you can do to calm the nervous system is touch. And I know that we're maybe a little bit short on opportunities for that right now. So sometimes the best you can do is giving yourself your own affection. It's taking your hands to your opposite shoulders, giving yourself a nice, really warm little squeeze of affection and appreciation and gratitude. And breathing into that. Maybe rocking gently side to side. Bring your hands to your heart center, Anjali Mudra. It's a reminder that we do this practice, we take care of ourselves as an offering so that we can show up a little bit more clearly, with a little bit more generosity in our hearts to share with others. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Happy Thanksgiving if it's Thanksgiving for you. Yeah.